You're listening to the Play Therapy Parenting Podcast with Dr. Brenna Hicks.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brenna Hicks, the Kid Counselor. This is the Play Therapy Parenting Podcast where I give you insight, awareness, and enlightenment about your parenting and your relationship with your kids. In today's episode, we are kind of doing a capstone review, if you will, because I've had a lot of people commenting on all of the skills and all of the principles and you know the different things that we've talked through. But I'm realizing that it always helps to circle back to the root and the why of everything. And so in today's episode, we're talking about the connections with your kids and how to preserve the relationship. Because all of the skills, all of the tools, all of the principles, all of the everything in the world don't really matter if we lose the connection and we don't preserve the relationship. And I've talked about that a lot. And so my veterans that have been with me forever, I know that you're aware of how important the relationship is. But for those of you who are new to the podcast family, those of you who have recently joined, welcome, glad you're here. You may not have had the benefit of us really diving into the importance of the relationship. Because the bottom line is, we always want to educate ourselves. We always want to equip ourselves. We want to make sure that we have appropriate tools in our tool belt, but they are means to an end. It's not about the skills. It's not about the tools. It's about what those skills and tools afford us, which is the deep relational connection and making sure that we maintain and preserve the relationship, because our influence only flows out of the relationship. Our communication only flows out of the relationship. Our bond flows out of the relationship. Everything we want for our kids, the relationship is the start of it and the finish of it. So when we're talking about those things, we have to keep in mind the 4 pillars. So I want to briefly recap those because I think that will kind of recenter us. You know, it's spring, we're ready for, flowers and growth and rain and all the good things that spring brings. We have to keep in mind that we constantly have to be growing and developing and reminding ourselves of why things are important. So that's what I'd like to do today. The path to calm, confident, and in control parenting starts now. All right, so when we're talking about the connection and the relationship, there are 4 main skills that we use that we fall back on because they help us do just that, which is focus on the relationship and let everything else come out of that. So we have reflecting feelings, choice giving, limit setting, and encouragement. If these are absolutely foreign to you, if you've never heard these, please go back and listen to the archived episodes. playtherapyparenting.com. That will catch you up to speed. But when we're talking about reflecting feelings, you have to keep in mind that validating what your child's thoughts, feelings, desires, needs, and wishes are, that is paramount. Because how can we focus on the relationship? How can we focus on the connection when our children don't feel heard and understood? They have to be validated that their feelings are real and that they are true and that they have every right to feel them. Now, it doesn't mean that behavior is always appropriate. It doesn't mean that what they choose to do with those feelings is acceptable, but their feelings are always valid. So how do we reflect feelings? Here's your crash course, Cliff's Notes. You, feeling word, qualifier. So you are angry that your sister took the toy. You are frustrated you can't play with your friends. You're excited to go see grandma and grandpa. You are proud of the picture you drew. Now, the qualifier is optional. So you can just say you're proud, and that's enough. But the qualifier sometimes helps in context. So it can be just you and the emotion, or it can be you feeling word qualifier. But when we reflect feelings, what we are saying to the child is, I'm here, I hear you, I understand, I care, and I delight in you. And what are those 5 principles called? Yes, be with attitudes. So happy you knew that. So when we have these be with attitudes in mind, that manifests itself in reflection of feeling. No matter what you feel, no matter what your needs, desires, feelings, or wishes are in this moment, I'm here, I hear you, I understand, I care, I delight in you, and I want to tell you what I see you expressing. And that preserves the connection in the relationship because the child walks away from the interaction going, mom gets it. Wow, dad understood what I was going through right there. They really knew what was going on. That makes me feel really good that they get it. So that is the first of the 4 pillars, reflecting feelings. There's your crash course reminder in that. Say that 6 times fast. Holy cow. All right. Choice giving. Next pillar. So when we provide choices to children, it gives them a sense of power and control, which is necessary because they don't have power and control over much. But the power and control that they're given is within your parameters. And there's many reasons why we give choices. We can do it for non-compliance of family rules. We can do it for empowerment. We can do it as part of limits. So there are different reasons why we give choices, but here's your crash course on the choice giving process. You can choose A or you can choose B. Which do you choose? So for an empowerment choice, it's just for the sake of providing a choice. It's you can choose to have an apple or you can choose to have an orange with your lunch. Which do you choose? You can choose to take your bike on our trip in the neighborhood, or you can choose to take your scooter on our trip in the neighborhood. Which do you choose? You can choose to listen to country music or you can choose to listen to pop music in the car on the drive. Which do you choose? So notice that you're saying the word choose 3 times. This falls apart and it is not effective if you say, do you want this? Do you want this? You can have this or you can have this. You know, whatever other, I have a hard time even phrasing things not in choices. So I can't even think of other options right now because I only ever give choices. But whatever else we may say, you can have, do you want, do you think, do you feel, whatever we may say, it's not the same thing if we don't say you can choose this or you can choose this, because the very word choose communicates you have power and control. But notice you're offering the option. You're okay with scooter. You're okay with bike. You're okay with country. You're okay with pop music. You're okay with apples. You're okay with oranges. So therefore, you are setting parameters, but you're still providing choices. And what this does, it helps practice decision-making. It helps practice problem solving. It helps practice accepting consequences of decisions. It gives them a feeling of power and control. Why does this matter in light of connection and relationship? Because kids feel that they are powerless at all times, and that creates a fracture when they feel that parents lord control over them. So the more we consistently give them power and control in measured doses, they walk away going, I don't have to fight for power and control. They give it to me. I always have choices. I always am able to decide things that I want. I'm always able to express what I would choose. And therefore, there's preservation of the relationship because they're not power struggling with you and fighting for control all the time, which just causes fractures. All right, so we've done reflecting feelings. We've done choice giving. Let's look at limit setting. Limit setting is the play therapy-based approach to correcting behaviors. And you're actually going to use, it's lovely how this is a flow chart here. You're actually going to use the reflecting feeling skill and the choice giving skill in the limit setting skill. So if you understand the first 2, you can easily use the third one, which is limit setting. So what this looks like is you are creating a type of limit and you're phrasing it in such a way that the child feels heard and understood while being given a neutral limit, and then they're given a choice so that they have a measure of control over the outcome. And that is the most effective way to manage behavioral struggles, emotional outbursts, any kind of corrective nature that you need to handle as a parent, if you use the play therapy, child-centered, non-directive model of limit setting, you are preserving the relationship because you're saying, hey, you're not wrong for wanting to do that. You're not wrong for feeling that way. I get it. I would feel that way too. But that is not for doing. And I'm going to actually walk you through some examples so you can understand what this looks like practically speaking. But hey, you're not wrong for feeling or wanting to, but that's not the way to handle that. Here are some choices that you can do instead. And the child doesn't feel demeaned. The child doesn't feel under attack. The child doesn't feel threatened. The child doesn't feel that you don't care. So again, the connection in the relationship remains. So what might that look like? Child refuses to sit down and eat at the dinner table. All the rest of you are seated and he is refusing. He wants to eat standing up or eat walking around or eat on the couch or just not sit with you all at the table. So we reflect feelings first. So how would we do that? There's your pop quiz. You don't really want to sit at the table, or you'd really like to eat on the couch, or you're having a hard time sitting down right now, or you have so much energy, you'd like to be up moving, whatever it is. And notice that there's no right answer. That's the beauty of these. You can reflect lots of different things and they can all be true. Please only do one. Don't give them all four like I just did. Those were just examples. But choose the one that seems the most fitting. You'd really like to eat on the couch. Then you move to the neutral limit. And it's phrased A is not for B or X is for Y. So, but dinner is for eating at the table. Or the couch is not for eating on. So see how it can be framed positively or negatively? So dinner is for eating at the table versus the couch is not for eating on. And either are appropriate and they would both work. So A is not for B or X is for Y. Notice that that's neutral. You're not wrong for wanting to. That's just not what it's meant for. The couch is not for eating on, or the table is meant to be eaten on. So it's just a very neutral, factual, calmly stated expectation. It's not, get over here right now and sit down at this table, and if you get up again, what kind of relational interaction is that? What kind of connective interaction is that? If you get up one more time, that's a threat. That doesn't preserve the relationship. What preserves the relationship is, hey, I'm validating you. I know that you would rather be up walking around. I know you'd rather eat on the couch. You'd really like to be up while you eat dinner. And that's okay. That's not wrong. But here's the neutral expectation. Dinner is for eating at the table. And then you give choices to return responsibility and power and control. So then you might say, you can choose to eat at the table and then watch TV on the couch as soon as you're done. Or you can choose to eat at the table and then choose to go outside and get some energy out as soon as dinner's over. Whatever you can give that ties back to the original intent. If the child wants to eat dinner on the couch, my gut tells me they're probably wanting to watch something while they eat. So you can offer that they get to watch it as soon as dinner's over. If they're bouncing off the walls and can't sit still, they have pent up energy. So they get to go outside and burn some energy as soon as dinner's over. You want the choices to align with the original need or desire or wish the child had. So whatever makes the most sense based on what you reflected in the reflection of feeling part, then you give a choice that maps to that. So you're essentially acknowledging the feeling, setting the limit, and offering a choice. Those are your 3 steps in the limit setting process. There's your crash course there. And then finally, encouragement. 4th and final pillar. So the encouragement pillar is esteem building. It's helping them find their self-worth and their self-concept and their identity. You encourage because you are always able to acknowledge their effort and contributions. In other words, you do not use value-laden words because that is praising the child. But encouragement is just acknowledging what they contribute, and it can always be given even in failure. So let me tease some of those apart. If you're not familiar with praise versus encouragement, again, please go back. It's crucial that you understand that. I've actually been training a couple families this week on the praise versus encouragement difference, and the dad was trying so hard in the lobby this week. The sibling that was not playing, he was interacting with her, and I had the son back with me. And my office manager was commenting on how hard he was trying. And then as he's leaving, he tried to use an encouragement phrase and it kind of got like boggled and it didn't really come out appropriately. And he like stuck his head back in the door and said, "This is so hard." And it can be, right? Because we're conditioned to praise. And praise always includes a value judgment. So we say, "Good job. That was awesome. That was amazing. You're so smart. You're fantastic. I love it. It's so pretty." And they're all value-laden judgments. So if there's an opposite to the word, it's value-laden. So good, bad, pretty, ugly, amazing, awful, you can eliminate them completely from your vocabulary from now on. Challenge accepted, right? Because we are conditioned that when a child does something, we say, "Great job. That's awesome." And what we're doing is teaching them to seek external validation. Instead of, "I'm proud of what I did. I worked hard. I like how this turned out. I had a plan. I executed this. I didn't give up." When we praise, a child seeks out the external motivation, which is, "I need to be verbally validated for doing this." This is what creates a culture of people pleasers. This is what creates a culture of people that are not willing to do anything just because it makes them feel good. If they don't get rewarded in some way, they can't handle it because they've spent their whole life being praised. So this is a huge paradigm shift, and kids are going to be praised in every environment except your home if you encourage them. Teachers are going to praise them. Coaches are going to praise them. Other kids are going to praise them. Every adult in their life is going to praise them because people don't know better. But now you do know better. So when we encourage, we start with the word "you," and we acknowledge what they brought to the scenario. So you worked hard, you kept trying, you figured it out, you did it, you knew what to do, you handled that, you solved the problem. If you start with you, you're probably on the right track. And you acknowledge factual contributions to the scenario. And what this does is it helps a child build an internal locus of control, meaning I am fulfilled by doing this because I wanted to, and it makes me happy just to know that I accomplished it. And it also builds a self-worth, a self-concept. It builds problem-solving skills. There are so many benefits to being encouraged because the child is internalizing the message, what do I think about this? What is my assessment and inventory over this outcome? When they show you a picture and you say, "You use so many colors," instead of, "It's beautiful, I love it." Let's think about how these two statements are interpreted. "You used so many colors." The child goes, "Yeah, I did." Self-reflection. Instead of, "It's beautiful, I love it." "Oh, I did something that makes mom happy, so now mom's going to tell me that I did a good job. That makes me feel good." What happens when mom isn't there to say it's beautiful, I love it? The child falls apart and is crushed under the weight of not being validated. Praise is crippling to kids. And I don't want this to seem like an attack or a downer or any kind of negative conversation. But now that we know what praise does, we have the antidote, which is encouragement. So we have to start catching ourselves when we're ready to praise, and we encourage instead. because encouragement validates, encouragement builds fortitude, encouragement builds kids that are willing to keep going and persevere and not give up and work until they are satisfied with the outcome, even if that means failure. Because encouragement can be given even in failure. If a kid comes in last place in a race or a field day or whatever, it's really hard to say, "Oh, good job." But you can say, "You kept going until the end. You didn't give up. You worked really hard this season." And notice that allows the child to say, "Okay, yeah, I'm not happy with the outcome, but I'm happy with the effort that I contributed." It's a totally different mindset. So there is your recap, crash course, whatever you want to call it, on the 4 pillars. And again, why? Why did we review these? Why is this helpful to kind of remind ourselves of these pillars? Because they are the means to an end for connection and relationship. We constantly have to be thinking in terms of, what can I do in this moment that will most preserve the relationship with my child? And in any scenario that you come across, it's going to be reflecting feelings, giving choices, setting limits, or encouraging. Those are the ways that you achieve those goals. I preserve connection. I preserve relationship. I use the 4 pillars. And of course, yes, we have rules of thumb and we have all these principles and we have all this underlying tenet that, supports all of this stuff. So there's far more. And look, you have an archive of all of these episodes to go back and learn all of these things. But foundationally, if we stick with these 4 pillars, we will 100% be on the right track, and our kids will be better for it. Our parenting will be better for it. Our families will be better for it. And that is why I do this, because families are the only way that we survive as a country, as a generation. We have to preserve the family because everything comes out of that. And how do we preserve the family? By preserving the relationships within the families. So I hope you find that helpful. Please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you, Brenna@thekidcounselor.com. Questions, comments, whatever you want to shoot at me. I'd love to hear it. I'm on social media. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube, etc. But if you would like to listen to earlier episodes, because some of this stuff is new to you, you will find all of the archives at playtherapyparenting.com. That is also where you can sign up for my newsletter if you haven't done that yet. And related aside, I know this is one of my longer episodes, so I'm trying to wrap this up for you. But one of the most helpful things you can do to me is give me a review on your podcast platform. So however you listen, if it's Spotify or Apple or however you find this podcast, if you could leave me a review, that would be really helpful. That helps other parents that are looking for parenting podcasts find me. And I typically don't ask or solicit reviews because I just do this because I kind of look at this as a mission. So I'm not usually seeking that kind of response, but it would be really helpful if you find that this is helpful, if you have had benefit from this. That is a way that other parents can find it and benefit from it too. So if you wouldn't mind leaving me a review on your podcast platform, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for spending time with me each week. I'm really grateful for you. You are why I do this. Thank you for the emails and the encouragement that you give me. We'll talk again soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Play Therapy Parenting Podcast with Dr. Brenna Hicks. For more episodes and to subscribe to our newsletter, please go to www.playtherapyparenting.com.